What's happening, guys? My name is Jamie, this is the Norwich Reptile Shed, and in this video I'm going to give you a tour of all my custom built vivariums. So in this video I'm going to show you the vivariums that I have built, finished and that are housing reptiles. This doesn't cover all my vivariums and it doesn't cover obviously the ones that I'm going to be building in the future, because this channel is constantly growing, evolving. Same as the shed, we are going to just be continuing to build vivariums. So you need to hit that subscribe button and stick around for the ride, because we are building cool vivariums. So the tour starts with these guys here. This is the newest of the 6-foot stacks. I've actually got 2 of these in the reptile shed, so we'll talk about these in a minute, but these guys are the newest ones. This one houses my albino black rat snake, so she is in there. She's actually got a bit of stuck shed, should sort it out. So this, yeah, hello, you there you are. So these vivariums measure 6 foot in length, 2 foot, 2.5 foot deep and 3 foot tall. They basically all have the same kind of principle in terms of the lighting. Every vivarium has a 2 foot UVB, full spectrum light and a heat source. Normally halogen lights. Actually, that's a lie, they're all halogen lights on these ones. This one is in a dome fixture just for the aesthetics of this kind of barn style, but all the other ones are actually mounted to the ceiling with cages. So yeah, this vivarium hasn't got much going on in terms of updates, because it is there is Carex grass in there which is kind of surviving, but there isn't much in there to kind of grow and evolve. So the only thing that has changed is the milk churn thing that was on there originally. I actually found that the snake kept pushing it off, and actually really enjoys basking on this spot. So I feel like if I fixed it down where she couldn't push it off, I'd actually impact the basking area. So I'm keeping that off for the time being, and I just haven't really found a new space in the vivarium for it. And next up is my latest build. So this is only been running now for 2 weeks, and it's been a week since I put the video up. So this is housing my female false water cobra. I actually have a male and a female, and the male vivarium is going to sit right next door when that's built, alongside my other northern pine snake. So they're the only 2 snakes left that are going to have these big 6-foot builds. But this is doing good. I've got some growth on the Monstera over here. She is trying her hardest to break it, so there are snaps and stuff like that, which is expected. She is busy exploring in this vivarium, so yeah, that's happening. I do have some growth on some other plants back here. Philodendron scandens, that looks like that's been demoed, and then the Boston fern seems to be surviving. So this one's doing pretty good, and she's loving the vivarium. I actually see her climbing all the way to the top here, and yeah, just generally seems to be enjoying this thing. Utilizes the hide, so I always see her with a little head poking out there. Obviously right now she's basking, but yeah, really chuffed with the way this one turned out. I just look forward to this Monstera growing in a little bit more, and yeah, maybe sort of filling this space and getting a chance to actually throw some leaves out and not get demolished by the snake. Next up we've got Ty. So Ty is my Taiwanese beauty snake. She's a big girl, so utilises all of this viv, and when she climbs actually kind of manages to sort of climb over all of this at once. So it's pretty impressive to see. The vivarium is okay. If you watch some of my other videos, you'll see that actually I've got a bit of a problem with the Mr. Pine's Viv underneath sort of heating up the soil too much. So I don't get too much plant growth in this kind of area because it dries out really quickly. But this area, I've got an umbrella tree in there, I've got some pothos growing. It is starting to pick up and do okay. I've also got a bunch of pothos down here, so that isn't doing too bad. And there is the girl. Hello. Hello. So yeah, that's not too bad. So oh, almost tripped up. So this is the second, well, the first of the 6 foot stacks that I started to build, and I believe that is the video I used her vivarium as a video for waterproofing vivariums, and Mr. Pine's was one of the first videos that I did as a whole build as well. You alright there, buddy? So Mr. Pine's Viv is doing well. There isn't any live plants in here. Originally, when I first set this up, I did have some grass, but this guy is a big, heavy-bodied snake. Let's just move that. Big, heavy-bodied snake, and just destroys everything. So at the moment, this is kind of like, you know, just got some barren sort of old oak branches. I might actually replenish this because I think most of the leaves have kind of been knocked off with him climbing about, and this certainly isn't how it looked when I first set the vivarium up. He's climbed over it all, knocked it all over, and generally made a mess because he is a big snake that likes to climb around on stuff. So he's doing okay though. He's doing okay. He's an old boy. One of the features of his vivarium that I don't have on the other vivariums is this integrated kind of hide that he's got here. That's a humid hide. So actually behind all this kind of rockwork facade is a plastic tub with a hole in the top, and inside that is a layer of soil. So when I first built this, he was going in and out quite a lot. But over the last 6 months, I would say he hasn't really used it that much. I think he did use it while he was brumating last winter, but certainly for the last maybe 5 months, I've never spotted him in there. He always seems to spend most of his time out here basking, and then when he's done basking, he kind of moves to the middle of the vivarium. So yeah, that's where we are with that one. Again, it's the same heat setup. The only thing I've done differently to these is instead of screwing this heater directly to the plywood that is that length of plywood there, which is the ceiling for this Viv, but the floor for the Viv above. The only thing that's different on the new ones is that I actually bring the heater down and therefore try and keep an airflow over the top of the heater. So and that seems to be working well. So that'll be what I've learned from this. Tested it on them, and then the ones that are replacing these vivariums here will be the same as the other ones. But that's what it's all about with this sort of stuff. We build stuff, we test stuff, we make improvements, we learn, and we change the way we do things. That's how the reptile hobby gets better, and that's how we as keepers get better as well. Inspirational quote there from Jamie, Norwich Reptile Shed. Next up are these bad boys. So these are the Boiga Vivs. So these are the first vivariums that I actually built when I built this shed, mainly because these are actually built in and the electrics run round them, same as the Royal Python vivarium, whereas the 6 foots actually could come out if I really needed them to. They are just almost like standard vivariums, just on a pretty big scale, but these guys are built in, attached to the wall, and sort of built in situ. So there are a lot of things I would have changed about them if I would have done it again. I would have definitely given Rockworks a go on the backgrounds, although it doesn't look too bad. Let me turn some lights off actually, see if that makes it better. No, that's a no. So yeah, although I think it kind of suits the feel of having, you know, the cat snakes in there. I could have done better with the rock work. So in the last few videos, you'll see that I added bamboo to these enclosures. The bamboo still isn't doing very well. It's hit and miss. Sometimes, some days it will perk up and look really good. Other days it doesn't. So I keep it all fed. I keep it watered and moist. I experimented with some lighting from Reptile systems. This isn't running anymore. This was just while the snake was in shed and wasn't really climbing about. I could turn this on. Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know, maybe this bamboo just isn't gonna grow indoors, but I'm still gonna continue with it. Even as it dries out, it still looks quite cool in here. And there is actually a cat snake right there growing in this. So this is a planter here with full of devil's ivy. So I'm letting that sort of grow down. Eventually that will trail down and sort of do its thing. So that's the plan behind that one. So yeah, I've got a male Boiga Cyanea in there, a female Boiga Cyanea in this one, and then in this vivarium I've got the Boiga Cynodon, the dogtooth cat snake, and she is in this coconut just here. This has got the is it the Sclafera plant in there, and that seems to be doing okay actually. As you can see, it's not doing too bad. It's got a bit of new growth coming out the back end of it. And that one's doing not too bad. Always struggled with reflection here because I've got so many, well, a big window on the door and a big window next to the door. This is why I don't film these vivs too often, because the reflection's a nightmare. So that's why I don't film too many videos during the day. Next up we've got Rocky, or Rocky Balboa. He's doing really good. So this is the 4x2x2 foot vivarium that I built originally to house our leopard geckos, but things changed. Rocky sort of appeared in our life. He's 14 years old, so he's kind of got this vivarium for his retirement, yeah, it just happened to come at the right time. This vivarium had just been finished, was empty, and I could move him into it. So it's kind of, if you've seen the video for this, it's a retirement setup for an old bearded dragon. Okay, this isn't a young guy running around climbing and all that sort of stuff. So everything's kind of easy to get to, but here he is. So he's doing really well actually. He's recently shed, and the colour on him is amazing. He's really like a lovely golden yellow. So that's really cool. He eats all the time. He eats his greens. He eats his insects. So he's a really good lizard. Really nice to have such a big character in the shed. And then all the plants that we did have in this vivarium. I know on the angle that this looks quite close to him, but he can't actually touch this lamp. Okay, so calm down. He can't get anywhere near it. It's just bad angle. But yeah, so all the plants that were in here have pretty much died or been eaten, so eventually we will replace them, and the Carex grass isn't looking particularly happy either, so that needs replacing. But that is the problem when you've got these kind of vivs. This vivarium is running hot, you know, we're simulating Australia in there, so this vivarium gets hot, and yeah, things dry out. And also bearded dragons, they've only got to walk around and they've pulled stuff out. So yeah, unless you put big established plants in there, it's quite hard to keep the little ones kind of alive. That's what I found anyway. Okay, so next up is my Royal Python and Tortoise combination. So originally we had the Royal Python vivarium built, and then I decided I would add the indoor quarters for Daisy here, so I have to stand in this vivarium to do anything in that vivarium, and then Daisy's got her own door there which leads out. So at the moment it's sort of the afternoon, all the lights are turned off, it's so hot outside that I'm just using this as like a refuge space rather than a heat and UV space. So this is where she can come and sort of be in a cooler, sort of darker area, and outside is optimal conditions throughout the day for her. So she's come in, she's all done for the day. She normally parks up in this corner or she goes in there. Then every night I shut this door and she is asleep. And also feed her outside because she goes outside every morning. I do feed her outside, so nothing's in here apart from a water bowl, which I'm surprised today she hasn't flipped it over. So she's obviously on her best behaviour. And then up here we have got the the Royal Python vivarium. Now this thing is looking probably at its best at the moment. I've got good plant growth over here. I've got good plant growth here with the Sclephera. And things are starting to look okay. The only thing that's tatty is this Monstera. Kind of got really sort of broken up with the Royal Python climbing all over it. As we can see, we've got Hector up there. So he is in shed at the moment. He's sitting up there, and due to the real sort of heat that we've got at the moment, I've just got the one heat lamp turned on. And I haven't seen the Royal Python actually over this end at all. They've been sort of more in the cooler end, and I've got this one turned off for the time being. Obviously monitoring it day by day, and if it gets absolutely swelteringly hot, which it's about to, I think we've got highs of 35 degrees coming, then all the lights go off. Same as most of these vivariums, I just turn all the lights off for the afternoon and let everything have a chance to cool right down. But yeah, this thing's looking cool. So if you want to, I've got obviously 3 videos on the build process for this, and I sort of covered it pretty much from once I started doing the rock work. Was when I started my YouTube channel. So this was the first ever Viv that I tried rock work on, and I built it, and then I was like, well, I should start, maybe I should start a YouTube channel. So did that, and then I started filming. So I do cover a lot of the build aspect of it in terms of the electronics and the soil, planting it up, things like that. So yeah, I've covered it in pretty good detail. I do have another video on this in the pipeline that is coming up that is going to be an interesting one, but I won't talk much about that at the moment. But I do have, so inside this, if you haven't seen this vivarium before, inside here are olive millipedes as well as your normal kind of cleanup crew. Sometimes we can actually see the olive millipedes. It's not looking hopeful today. No, we can't see them. So I've actually got, when I first got my olive millipedes to put in here, I kept some back as just in case something went really wrong in here and I had to strip it all out and everything died, or something crap like that. So I actually kept some back. So in this video I'm actually going to put them in there and we'll just see them have a little walk around. So let's go and get the millipedes. As you can see, I've got a lot of woodlouse as well living in the millipede enclosure, so they can go in there. So that'll do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Just a little tour of some of the custom vivariums I've made and a sneak peek into what is going to continue on this channel as we build more and more vivariums, both the 6 foot and the 4 foot. Plus I've got some 5 foot stuff planned for some of the smaller colubrids that I haven't rehoused into custom vivariums yet. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support the channel in any way, please head over to Patreon, where you can become a Patreon for £3 a month and I get to put your name at the start of each video. Thank you very much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.